Tonight, a warning from Capitol Hill that goes far beyond sanctions, tariffs, or geopolitical rivalries, a warning about something that could quietly trigger the next major American economic crisis. If you care about where the economy is heading, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what comes next.
The colleagues have already raised the urgency of more sanctions on Russia's shadow fleet, particularly as it is sabotaging our allies' infrastructure in the Baltic. And urged that it is unfair for Chinese manufacturers to be able to underprice U.S. manufacturers by virtue of lower environmental standards. So I just want to give two big thumbs ups to both of those notions. As we talked about in my office, I think that the most immediate danger of a major economic collapse is going to come through the insurance industry. We're seeing signs of it in Florida already. The fires in LA are making it worse out in California, but it's occurring nationwide. And as we discussed, where you can't get insurance, you can't get mortgages, where you can't get mortgages, you can't sell properties at value, and that cascades, according to the chief economist of Freddie Mac, into a 2008-style massive economic recession. So I would like to ask first that you get somebody on your team to take a look at this report, which I'd ask to put into the record, from the Senate Budget Committee while I was chairing it, on the non-renewals, price increases, and unavailability problem county by county across the country. And if somebody on your team looks at it and can give you a summary, I would be grateful. And I would actually ask you personally to read this Economist magazine article. I don't think it's complicated.
No, Senator Whitehouse, you gave it to me in your office, and I did read it.
Good.
So
all right, so we're ahead of you. So I just want to make sure.
I will point out to my children behind me, doing your homework's important.
It is important, and thank you for doing that. I think you're the first person in the nominations here who's actually done the reading that has been proposed. So I just think that all of us need to be alert to this problem. I think it's actually started. Ernest Hemingway famously said that bankruptcies happen gradually and then suddenly. I think we're in gradually on a climate change-driven insurance crisis that will cascade out into the whole economy. I gave my Environment Public Works colleagues a book this thick. I gave your team a similar book of all the many high-level, serious, peer-reviewed studies that have shown these economic risks. And I just don't think we're ready for it. And I think it's really important that we be ready for it. And I don't want anybody to say that they weren't warned about it. So there's my warning.
During the Scott Bessent hearing, lawmakers touched on familiar flashpoints: tougher sanctions on Russia's shadow fleet accused of sabotaging critical infrastructure in the Baltic, and frustration over Chinese manufacturers undercutting U.S. companies by operating under weaker environmental rules. But then, the conversation took a sharp turn, away from foreign adversaries and toward a threat building inside the U.S. economy itself. Before we go deeper, take a moment to subscribe, because understanding this issue now could help explain what happens to housing, jobs, and financial stability next. One senator laid it out plainly: the most immediate danger of a major economic collapse may not come from Wall Street speculation or global trade wars, but from the insurance industry. This is not a theory anymore. It is already happening. In Florida, insurance companies are pulling back. In California, wildfires are making the problem worse. And across the country, entire counties are facing skyrocketing premiums, non-renewals, or no coverage at all. Subscribe now, because this is the kind of story that rarely gets explained clearly, yet affects millions of households. Here's why this matters. Insurance is not just a financial product. It is the foundation of the modern housing market. When insurers refuse to cover homes, banks refuse to write mortgages. When mortgages dry up, homes cannot be sold at full value. Prices fall, equity evaporates, and local tax bases weaken. According to the chief economist at Freddie Mac, this chain reaction has the potential to cascade into a recession that looks disturbingly like 2008. If that connection surprised you, hit subscribe because we break down these hidden links every day. The senator referenced a detailed report from the Senate Budget Committee mapping insurance non-renewals, price spikes, and outright unavailability county by county across the United States. This is not an abstract warning. It is a data-driven picture of stress spreading through the housing system. The request to Treasury was simple but urgent. Put experts on it, summarize the findings, and elevate the issue before it is too late. Subscribe now if you want continued coverage of how these technical reports translate into real-world consequences. What makes this moment especially striking is that it reframes economic risk. For years, Americans were told to watch interest rates, stock markets, and federal debt. Now, climate-driven disasters, insurance retreat, and housing instability are converging into a single pressure point. Fires, floods, and storms are no longer just environmental stories, they are financial accelerants. If you want clear explanations of how climate risk becomes economic risk, make sure you subscribe. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent acknowledged he had already been given an Economist magazine article on the subject in a private meeting, signaling that this concern is reaching the highest levels of economic leadership. That detail matters because it suggests policymakers are beginning to see insurance not as a niche industry problem, but as a systemic risk. Subscribe to stay informed as we track whether that awareness turns into action. The takeaway from this hearing is sobering. The next economic shock may not announce itself with a market crash or bank failure. It could arrive quietly through canceled insurance policies, denied mortgages, and communities frozen in place because homes cannot be bought or sold. That is why conversations like this one matter and why informed viewers matter too. Subscribe to the channel so you stay ahead of the story, understand the signals early, and know what is really shaping the economy beneath the headlines.